Okay, so Crystal Jones is my VP, and she's actually going to take the lead on this one.
So, to start off, good afternoon. Thank you for having us. We had an incredible year since the last time we visited. We've done some really great things for the families of our service, and we're excited today to share what we've accomplished. So, when we had initially committed to building this organization and providing resources to these families, we weren't sure how it was going to be received. But we are happy to say that so far as of today, we have 530 registered families. That's huge. We have been able to build a social media platform where we raise awareness, where we create an environment that is somewhat like a peer support group for the families of all of our members, the civilians and the uniformed. And we spread awareness. We talk about topics that directly affect our families. We obtained charitable status. So that was definitely something that we are very proud of. And we've established partnerships with organizations like Wounded Warriors Canada. They, for those who aren't aware, they provide additional resources to first responders and military personnel. And we've also established a working relationship with Camp Maple Leaf. Our intention with that is to be able to provide resources to the families and the children of first responders, our officers or our civilian members who suffer from some sort of OSI or post-traumatic stress disorder. It's just another way that we can support the kids and make sure that nobody is really left behind. We have been written into Toronto Police Service policy and procedures, and that was an amazing win for us, and it was the ability for us to see that the willingness of the service to kind of support us in this role that's really never been done before. I spoke briefly about mental health campaigns, but why this is so important is, you know, everybody talks about mental health, and everybody knows that it's an issue. But sometimes we forget the uniqueness that being a police officer or a civilian member who experiences trauma, what that looks like and how it affects them, and that they have like these different levels of compounded trauma every single day. So as police families, we know we're sending our officer or our member to trauma every day, not, you know, just something where this unpredictable incident happened. So that's why raising awareness to this topic was very important to us, to try to facilitate an environment where people felt safe to come forward and we were able to provide resources to the families who needed them. And our last commitment was to create a team. So we have filled 3 directorial positions within our organization, and each of them have a very specific mandate. So one does our social media campaigns and our communications. We have another one who is our director of education resources, and then we have another director of social events. They all hold a very unique and very important role within our organization. And the social events director is very, very important for fostering a community of support and earning our trust with the members so that we can continue to grow and build. The educational director, we provide really interesting and new ways of coping for families. One of the programs that we're running is it's called Hold Me Tight. It's based off of a workshop that Dr. Sue Johnson put together.
It's a couples communication workshop.
And the purpose of that is to strengthen and support the core of the family. And that's very important to us because a healthy family also provides the service with a healthy member.
So on the next screen, I guess we were, the board last year, with the support of Chief Saunders, very generously allotted $30,000 from their special fund to get Toronto Beyond the Blue off and running. And so this is our year check-in where we want to celebrate all the things that we've done. The charitable status was something that was really important because it allows us very strict guidelines as to how to kind of navigate. And so in adhering with those, we've kind of done a breakdown of where our expenses have gone in year 1, but also where they will be going in year 2. And part of the CRA parameters is that the majority of it go to education and awareness, right? So not to allot it to social stuff. So that's kind of our breakdown, and then you'll see the bullet points as to, I mean, we can speak further to this, but obviously not in 5 minutes. But just, the events that we are running are varied, and they look at the TPS member as a whole. So they're either their partner, their family member, their child, really looking at the holistic person and the toll that the job takes on beyond just the TPS member. So I think the next slide is a testimonial, which I will gloss over for the sake of time, and keep going. So this is kind of what we're looking forward to in terms of year 2. And the biggest one that I want to speak to is Avail. Jason McFadden reached out to us, and he was connected through Scott Gilbert, who's now Chief Gilbert. And we're really excited about this because this is a progressive app that is being tested in different police services, in allowing members an opportunity to have a virtual support network right at their fingertips. And so putting all the care providers in one app that they can use, and that it actually measures their stress levels and their resiliency levels. So we're going to be running that pilot project starting January with 100 of our members and their families to see whether our part of our costs should be going towards providing our members and their families with this app for free, which is not cheap. And I think, yep, so that's looking forward to year 2. Good.
Thank you very much. Just the questions from colleagues, but what I want to start with, if I may, and that is congratulations on the charitable status, and that will allow you presumably to raise money and make it tax receivable. Right. Have you started that effort? And I don't know if the service is because I think if I remember the service, it would be useful to know that because I would want to support this type of initiative.
Ooh, music to my ears. So we have absolutely started that process, and the support, we measure our support by the TPS members actually have been fundraising for us as well. So a lot of third-party fundraising, when they know that their dollars raised comes right back to them, their other brothers and sisters, we've been received very well, like that. And I think part of that awareness where the chief allows us access to advertise on the intranet and get our word out, I can't speak more highly of the chief and his support always. And that has, we talk about, for example, these workshops, they're not cheap. To put a couple through, workshops, 5 couples through our COPE program is $60,000. So as quickly as we can make it, it comes right out of the bank account.
I think before we get into questions, actually, there is one deputation. So if you guys wouldn't stand aside for a minute, sure. The one deputation is from Brenda. Please. Brenda Ross.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. You know the rules in 5 minutes.
Give me 1 second, please. I was, and I am, and I do remain opposed to Beyond the Blue. I feel it disconnects the police from the public, and the story that they have certain problems that are just their problems and no one else's disconnects them completely from everyone else and is a contravention of the way forward. I believe it was a big mistake to do this. I also believe that it contradicts some of what this brochure says of where officers and civilians can go for help. And I think as evidence of this is what we've been reading in the newspaper about officers in trouble who are at the Human Rights Commission and who have gone to journalists for help and said that they couldn't get any help from anybody at the police service. We now, instead of just having this group that does the brochure with the one number to call no matter what's wrong with you, which I thought was so great, which we keep reading about in our agendas, that we're trying to focus on helping the officers, their families, their children, the civilian employees, I feel that this is a problem. And the amount of, I don't wish them ill will, and I certainly am very sympathetic, as you all know, to Policeman Garda. And I'm the one who suggested that they take this ridiculous photograph off this brochure and replace it with one of Policeman Garda, so nobody would forget him, and nobody would forget about his post-traumatic stress disorder caused by his job. We're losing sight of what this was supposed to be, and whoever is running this for the officers and the civilians who put together this brochure, will someone please tell me why, even though I've mentioned it several times, we still have no outreach here? I want to know why the lady who gave the testimonial to Beyond the Blue was not aware that she had a number to call and could get whatever she needed. Why did she feel disconnected and alone? Well, she's saying there was no support for her. I'm disturbed by that, because our good officers, our civilian employees, should have whatever support they need, and it should be paid for by the public. But I don't believe that Beyond the Blue should have been supported. It should have been part of this. So in fact, the two ladies that just spoke should have been invited to join with this group that has all of these resources, and they would have enhanced what we already had. Now, the $30,000 that you gave to them could have been added or taken from the budget for this group of people. And it wasn't that long ago that you handed out an agenda that we were hiring 29 more employees, that the psychologists were overburdened, they needed help, we were going to get help for them, and I'm in favor of all of it. And I'm not in favor of what the ladies are saying. I believe it should not have been separated in this way. It should have been part of what already existed, and an honored part. And I still think Policeman Garda's photograph should be on this brochure and not a picture of, I don't even know who these people are. The people that are laying on the lawn. I don't know who they are, and neither does anyone else. So where is Policeman Garda, who started all of this? How did he get forgotten in the story? Next, this way of speaking to each other about Blue Sisters and the badge babies and all the rest of it. As long as the police feel that it's us and them, we're one group, they're another group, this is another group, the police chief is already on record as saying the way forward means we're going to have a cultural change. We can't have a cultural change if this is the way we carry on. So I'm suggesting that this come to an end and become part of this organization with some modifications, and that the two ladies that spoke be in charge of it. That is, they have their own section that they are in charge of to do what they want, and it proceed as one part of the police organization, not of this bizarre chopping up everything so no one knows which way they're going. And the people that have been in the newspaper, what happened to the request for an outreach worker, which I mentioned to the deputy chief and others at the time, and was told, oh, the people that are the 29 that we're hiring, we'll get one of them, they can do some outreach. Well, obviously they didn't, or we wouldn't be reading about all the police in the newspaper with all their troubles and problems. So with all this money pit here at the police board, please tell me why there's a policeman or woman who has nowhere to go with their troubles. Also, I would like an interim copy in dollars and cents of where the $30,000 went. The diagram doesn't mean anything to me, and I'd also like to know about donations.
Thank you,
How
Brenda.
much did everybody give? Thank you.
Brenda, thank you.
Thank you.
Colleagues, any questions of Brenda before she steps down? Okay, if not, Brenda, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Garda, if you could come back, I think my colleagues may have some questions, and
Could you just wait one moment, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm just going to step back.
Thank you.
Of course. I'm going to address that. I absolutely know that. I remember you from our last application.
I haven't forgotten.
Thank you very
I
much.
can-
And do you want to address
I would
any
love
of the
to
things?
address that.
Sure.
Yeah, I would like to thank Brenda for her support because I've definitely felt the love and support from her, and it hasn't wavered. And I'd like to address some of her questions, which I think are so valid. And so, first and foremost, my brother's legacy doesn't need to be in a brochure. The legacy is TBTB, and the help that we're providing, the awareness that we're bringing, that's the paying it forward piece. So he isn't forgotten, and does he need to be memorialized in a brochure? I don't think anything of it one way or another. I know that the work we're doing is keeping his legacy alive. We are learning how to move forward positively. I genuinely am the first, and the chief knows this of me. I'm a pit bull, so I'm the first to have open conversations with the chief, but I can only have those open conversations because he lets me. He welcomes them, he hears me. And I can't speak more highly of Deputy Chief McLean and Darla Tannehill, who we work fabulously together. And we work together to do what? Okay, so we work together. Are things perfect? No. I would love to see one organization that's running smoothly. Are they open to moving forward? 100%. Are we working together hand in hand? Yes. The reason why Beyond the Blue needs to be separate, as a separate entity altogether, is that's its power. Is we need to be one removed from TPS or the TPA to build that trust factor with our members, that when they come forward for help, when their family comes forward for help, they know that there is no agenda, there's no paranoia as to where that information is going to go. It's actually one of the key components that makes our chapter organization work. Sorry, I just wanted to address everything. So the other thing is, we face unique struggles. And I think every organization faces its unique struggles. And I think everyone should have a chapter of some sort. We face unique struggles. And so when she said, I'm alone, where was this help? It's here now. And it's something that obviously was not there before, and we're filling that need in a very real way. So when we have cute terms like badge babies, I don't want you to dismiss the struggle that a partner has to go through when their officer or civilian member is on the job, shift work, and we need that connection. So those pieces are just as important as the heavy workshop pieces. I hope I've addressed all your questions. I know so that's the other great thing, my name, my reputation, my brother's legacy will never be tarnished. And that's the beauty of being a charitable organization. We have to make, we have to be accountable for every penny and dollar, and we have to be transparent about that. So,
Do you have a financial report in dollars?
Yes, we do. Not with me, but I do. And we have,
Can I have a copy, please?
absolutely. And we have, an accountant who's external from us. So, we just received our charitable status
January 1st.
I think it's January 1st. And so we're just, all these things are put in motion because it's very important to us to keep our reputation strong. Yeah.
So, thank you. And, charitable status does require you to annually file.
That's right.
And those
Yes.
documents are public, so it will
That's
be
right.
available. Colleagues, questions of Ms. Santacusera?
Hi, I just wanted to express my sincere gratitude and support for this initiative. I think it's really amazing. The fact that you have over 500 member families, that's amazing. And what you're describing is a peer support model, which is evidence-based and actually is a key to social inclusion, which promotes
Right.
mental health.
Right.
So my question to you, you mentioned that you've done a bunch of mental health initiatives over the past year. I would love to hear about them.
Oh, great. Okay. So we do have, like now? Yes. Okay, good. Just making sure it wasn't like an email.
Relatively briefly, Relatively briefly still, however.
Very briefly. So on our board, we do have a clinical psychologist, Dr. Vivian Lee. Her specialty is in trauma. So anything that we do, we vet by her. And we ensure that our partnerships are, partnerships that are first responder, police culture trained. So for example, things like the trauma center. So they're out of Sharon. They'll be doing, so they do a variety of things. So they do compassion fatigue. That's our next one, December 8th. They do things specifically for kids. So the impact of vicarious trauma on children. There's a couples retreat because one of the things we experience again is that lack of communication when the officer or civilian member is in crisis. With Wounded Warriors, we're able to partner, and when we raise the money, we put our couples through Can Paraxis, and that's an equine therapy-based program. Yep, and both couples go together. And the whole thinking behind the couple that we are so firm in is that the partner has gone through the crisis and is spiraling downwards. So the hurt has happened, but the healing needs to happen together. They can't be on separate playing fields. So we look at it from a family approach.
Thank you. Any other questions, colleagues? If not, oh, Mark.
Oh, Mark.
I know the time issue, Chair, so I'll be very quick. Del, Crystal, thank you so much for all that you do. I'm going to ask a question, not financial based, but more emotional, psychological. And when you take new journeys, have you seen or witnessed anything that you would call as a big surprise or an unknown during this journey?
A big surprise.
We have a lot.
Yeah, figured.
I think our biggest surprise is probably how quick things took off. So we have to keep re-strategizing our 2-3 year plan because that plan takes place in like a year. So the support that we received and the trajectory at which this has taken off was not something we anticipated. We are trying to be very cognizant of balancing our team so that they're working, full-time working mothers, all that kind of good stuff, to ensure that we don't burn out ourselves in providing help because the pace is intense. And we know that the need for help is immediate, if not yesterday. So we don't take that lightly. I don't think this was surprising, but I think that I am constantly brought to tears when someone from your office reaches out with the next step in partnership. And I've always said this, Chief Saunders has always valued mental health and member mental health, and he puts his money where his mouth is. Yeah. Can I say that?
Yep.
Okay. So you know what, though, it wasn't surprising, but it was. We were building a trusting relationship, and it has not disappointed. I can pick up the phone, and if I don't like something, or if there's a next step, you hear me. So I think those were our biggest, what we got caught off guard with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I would like to end, and I always like to do this. TBTB wouldn't have started without Mayor Tory. So I want to thank you. I know we've had some great side conversations, and you're always, always in my heart as a big step forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you again for all the work you're doing. Colleagues, motion to receive the report and the deputations. Ms. Shanda-Casera, seconded. Ms. Molnar, all in favor? Any contrary? Carried, and thank you.